she's just had it. He feels it's not a full partnership. He is just out to lunch when it comes to the stuff in the house, which she could live with. But when it comes to the relationship, she's just done. Oh, she also said that they did go to therapy. And this guy, Ellie, he did own up to the fact that he wasn't doing his lion's share of work or his lion's share of relationship work. Okay, he owned up to that. But guess what he said? He said, I'm so stressed out and I don't have the bandwidth to be able to deal with it. Okay. This seems like an incredibly obvious case of he is wrong and she is right. Is there anything more like, hello, like that's how it is? So when you ask the question, is it her husband's fault? What is the resounding answer? Yes. Okay. Yes. It is her husband's fault. We get it. Now, the question of the day, the very first question I have for you is, knowing that it's his fault and knowing that he's to blame for all of the problems, does that help us? Does that help Bela at all? Does it help her to know that he's to blame? And she's right? We'd all agree. Probably he'd also agree that he's right. And maybe he did in therapy. That's what he was doing, is agreeing. Yes. Okay. So the issue is, he's wrong. She's right. Does that information help us? That's the question we want to know. Okay. So I've got an answer for you. Want to hear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because it doesn't seem like it would help anyone, just other than, saying that he's terrible, and that would make her feel good for a few minutes.
Okay, that's what that's good for. So here's the situation. She blaming him, it actually turns out that blaming him actually not only doesn't help, so saying it's all his fault, even when it is, not only doesn't help, but it makes the situation much worse, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it drives a wedge between the two people. Blaming does. Okay, so there's lack of closeness. So is that going to help the situation or hurt the situation? You guess, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that it doesn't help in any way. It's not constructive. It's only destructive. It only does damage. So here's the worst part about it. And this is where we're talking about empowering ourselves. This is, we know from our sources that you only can fix yourself. You can try everything. You can only fix yourself. When a woman blames her husband and says it's all her fault, even if she's right, okay? Even if she's right, it takes away all of her power. She goes from being proactive, being able to, do things in her life and conquer things and be the best person she can be and maximizing her potential and getting this done and that done and feeling totally all powerful, to being just a complete wimpy victim. Now, wait a minute. Hold on a sec. Leah, are you blaming the victim? Hello? He's wrong. She's right. You're blaming the victim, Leah. Okay, I hear that. But if we were trying to accomplish who's right and wrong, then, she wins. If we're trying to have shalom, if we're trying to have peace in our marriage, this is a disaster. And the worst part of it is our own self-esteem. When we feel like the victim and there's nothing we can do about it in our life, and we're just stuck. That's just it. I'm sorry. This is the way your life is. Sorry, lady. And all you can complain, and you can maybe, like Sarit said, you can feel good for 2 seconds that you're right and he's wrong. Doesn't help you. What's going to help you is what we're going to talk about today. You ready? Okay. Yeah. First of all, questions. If any questions come in, let me know.
Yes.
So here's the thing. A woman's self-esteem is a lot based on her ability to affect her life. If a woman feels powerless, it's almost like she's done for. So here's how we're going to empower ourselves. So this is what the blame game, which is what we're all very familiar with. Okay, well, other people, I don't know. No, okay, so we're all blaming other people, but we're blaming our husband on being wrong. It's all his fault. That's the blame game. Playing that game puts the two people on opposite sides of the battlefield ready to do battle. It's not it's not productive, and it won't make you close. Okay, so let's take a look at our sources. So I'm going to say some sources, and the first one's a little harsh. We all know it to be true. It's you can have something that's harsh and hard, and you know it's to be true. How do you actually take advantage of that? So the Vilna Gaon teaches that the reason Hashem created us in the first place is to work on ourselves, to grow, and to be the best people we can be. Okay, so that's the good news. We have the power to do that. The bad news is that even if our husband isn't doing the work he is supposed to do, okay, that doesn't relieve us of any responsibility. So what that's saying, when you say, "Oh, my husband, he does this, and he comes home late, and then he, the kids, I'm just putting them down to bed, and he gets them out of bed, and he just disrupts everything, and blah blah blah," and I hear these kinds of comments all the time. Okay, and if you find other solutions, please type them in below. We'd love to hear different points of view about this, but I hear that all the time, and the question that we have to ask ourselves: does blaming him make us feel powerful, or make us feel low self-esteem, like, nothing's going the way I want, like a victim? Okay. So so Sarah Yocheved Rigler, who's a fabulous author, you should read all her books. Okay. She teaches us, and I pull this this is something she told me personally, the basic principle behind all spiritual growth is that the only person you can change is yourself. A Jewish woman who has emunah, anybody who has faith in God, that God is there, who really believes Ein Od Milvado, which translates as
there's no one else but him.
There's no one else but God. It's all Hashem. Everything that happens in your life is from Hashem. Realizes this, still from Sarah Yocheved Rigler, realize that the challenges in her marriage and her life comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu for her spiritual benefit. So if your husband is doing all the things wrong, like Bela's husband was for sure not stepping up to the mat, he was not being an equal partner, he wasn't participating, okay, if that is her lot in life, that is from God himself. Doesn't mean that she can't do anything about it, doesn't mean she's victim to it, but it means that she can blame her husband, but it's really, this is what she needs for her spiritual growth. Can she improve it? Can she improve her husband? Well, I don't know about fixing husbands. We're not into that, okay? If we fix ourselves, suddenly women say to me, "Did you have a secret men's class?" It's like, no. If the woman becomes the receiver, the husband becomes the giver. End of story. That's our whole Masorah and standing on one foot, okay? So the issue here is, if a woman has the right emunah and she realizes, why am I pointing my finger at my husband? I'm pointing at him. I'm blaming him. It's all his fault, okay? And they're right about it, even if they're right, okay? Maybe sometimes they're not right, okay? Right? Hello, my English, okay? So if they're not right, that's even worse. But even if they are right, blaming their husband is like lack of emunah. It's like lack of saying, God, I didn't like what you gave me. Okay, this is what he gave you. Can you do something about it? Yes, but your efforts to make it improve will help God to improve it. Okay, that's what God is waiting for from you, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. Yay, ready?
Yay! I'm going to open up the conference line for Q&A, just in case somebody has a question.
You hit *6, and then you can ask a question.
Yeah.
And I love questions. Don't Sarit? Do I love questions? I love questions.
Yes. And just it's a heavy topic, so I want to make sure that. And not only questions. If you want to bash your husband, now's the time.
Hello, not on my watch. Okay, all right, so fun. Okay, so here's the thing from our last source we're going to look into is Sefer Shevet Musar. It gives over that through a wife's support our husband's mazel, luck, will improve in all aspects of children, health, life, and sustenance. This is one of my favorite quotes. And here's the thing about it. What he's saying is that if we are supportive of our husband instead of bashing our husbands, we will have more bracha in the house, more money, more health, more the carpet that we keep tripping over will somehow smooth down and get glued by itself, whatever it is, those kinds of all blessing that you can possibly want in your life will come into your home if you go for shalom. And by doing that, what the Sefer Shevet Musar is saying is that if you support your husband, that his luck will improve, his mazel will improve. Okay, so fine. So let's go to the tool of the day. Everybody ready? Tool of the day today. It's called the No Blame game. Oh, can you type that in?
Yes, of course. Yes. It's going to go up right on the thing.
The no blame game.
Yes.
That's the tool for today. So here's how it works. When something happens that you're not so happy about and you don't like the situation, rather than asking, whose fault is it? Which is the immediate knee-jerk reaction that we all go to. Whose fault is it? Well, who can I blame? Oh, the guy from the store. Oh, my husband. Oh, the kid left the thing. We always go right away to the blame game. Whose fault is it? Rather than doing that, in the no blame game, you ask, how can I improve things? How can I improve things? Is that gorgeous? It's that simple. Like, that's it. Like, instead of like, you zip your lip and you say, oh, how can I improve things? What can I do in this situation? What action can I take that is going to make this better? Okay? So the minute we switch and I'm going to explain this a little, and then we're going to go back to Bela and Illy and see what she could have done and how she could have gotten herself out of this miserable victimhood state. Okay. Rather than feeling like a victim to our lousy circumstances, we are suddenly empowered to take action. This is not blaming the victim. This is empowering us to be all that we can be and to living with whatever. This is what God gave us. What can I do? What actions can I do to improve things? Okay, so here's one thing I want to get clear, absolutely clear. Like, don't get any. I have some women, I've tried everything, Leah. I've tried everything. There is always something you can do. We know that from our sources. We know our Masora is that the actions we take, even if they don't bear results, God's in control of the results, okay? Our actions somehow shift the spiritual world, okay? Everything is shifted so that we can, we've done this thing and this thing and this thing, and our salvation comes over here. It's like nuts, like, oh, I wasted all this energy. No. You don't get it. This hishtadlis, this effort that you've put in, had God have the balance sheet work in a certain way, or the spiritual reward punishment. I don't know. This is way above my pay scale. I don't know if you could tell, but this is rabbinic stuff. Ask your rabbi about this. But I do know the effects of it are that if we put action in, no matter what that action is, and we keep trying and we're failing at it, God will bring salvation. We may not see it directly, and it may be, we may be rewarded spiritually in other ways. Maybe our kid gets healthy, or, we don't know. But any effort you do for shalom, for peace, you are going to be rewarded in this world and the next. So very, very powerful. Okay. So by taking action, the thing that's so exciting about this is the minute you start taking action. Do you guys switch to cameras? I don't know how you guys.
No, we're good. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they do. You're right now on me. No.
I'm not, like when I talk to you, then it's awesome. It's really, you guys are the best. Okay, so the thing is, when I was in the middle of saying something,
when you take action.
Oh yeah, okay. When you take action, thank you, sweetie boy. You're empowered. You're suddenly you're like you light up. It's like you're doing something. You're trying. You might have this feeling, and I have a lot of women that are like, like 11 years, and I've been nagging him and begging him and asking him, and please, really, really. But if you use your, I don't know what you've been doing before. And also the other thing is, it could be if you're upset about something and you're so angry and you're trying to get your husband to do something like, would you just help do the dishes? Will you just help? And whatever. And you've been trying for 11 years. Was that the effective way to do it? I don't know. It could be you say, if you help me and do the dishes, then I'll go for a walk with you. Or I'll do, maybe he doesn't want to go for a walk, but whatever, let's say he's been trying to get you, he wants you to wear that new dress that you really don't like. If you do the dishes, I'll wear the dresses to the party tonight. I don't know. I'm making stuff up, but I'm just saying, trying and not getting the results you want, maybe you try something different. You have a little bit of a better, so we're going to try stuff. This is a trial and error thing. And again, everything I'm teaching you today, this is not like, you're going to get it, or you're going to agree, or you're going to disagree. You're going to try this. You're going to this is foreshadowing what the homework is, okay? You're going to try this at home, and then you're going to come back next week and you're going to type something in, or you're going to email me. I get a lot of emails. I really appreciate the emails, ladies, because it gives me what I'm going to talk, what people are, what the pulse of the planet is, and what, this whole class about the no blame game.
No blame game.
Right, the no blame
That's
game.
a tongue twister.
That this whole thing came out of a student who was, crying her eyes out to me, not crying her eyes, whatever, was really struggling with this. And I thought, a lot of people will. And then I passed it around to people on my staff. I said, do you guys think this? And they're like, oh, yeah. Can you cover that and send me the notes ahead of time, because I really need to know. So these questions, when you ask questions, it really helps me. Okay, so let's get so here's the other thing.
And I'm so sorry, info@ladiestalkshow.com if you want to email Leah.
Yes,
we'd love the emails.
Right, okay.
So info@ladies, we're going to type that in.
You're going to type it in. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The most gorgeous thing that happens when you are able to take action is you gain something that is more precious than gold, which is hope. There are so many women who just they love their husbands, of course. They love their kids. They love their, they have ups and downs like we all do. But they're just feel stuck in this situation or whatever, whatever. They've just resigned themselves to, this aspect of it. I'm never going to get satisfaction. I'm never going to feel good about it. I'm never going to, it's never going to be what I really, really, truly want or whatever. Okay. And so they walk around with a half a smile on their face. And what I'm saying is, if you're taking action instead of being the victim, it puts a bounce in your step because you've got hope. Hope for the future is like the most, it's like, okay, the last 14 years have been really struggling, but I'm really going to work on this. I'm going to take this on, and maybe it'll get better, maybe 1% better. And for sure, any effort you make will bring blessing into your home. That we know for sure. We've got lots of sources for that. Okay. Here's the most important one, and this is gorgeous. Everybody listening up, listen, you guys, open your ears. If you hear nothing else, and hear this. If you start taking efforts and start working on it, instead of being a victim, instead of angry and lashing out and whatever, God runs away with that. Okay, but if you start taking efforts, like what can I do? What can I do? What action can I take? How can I help the situation? What can I do? God himself, guaranteed, will race to your rescue. He will race to your rescue because he knows you're going for shalom. He knows you're going for peace. When you take the initiative and you start taking action and thinking, what can I do? God helps. You'll witness this before your very eyes. I hope. It's not a guarantee that you'll witness it. It's guaranteed that it'll happen. Probably you'll witness it. And if you do me a favor, to make my day, write me a little note, an email, info@ladiestalkshow.com, and say, Leah, it was right. Oh my gosh, for 7 years. And I did it. And I said, I'm going to take this on. And oh my goodness, this is what happened. Okay, fine. Okay, let me tell you what the advantages are from using this tool of the day, the no blame game, which is basically, what can I do? How can I improve things? It's taking the initiative ourselves. Ladies, understand one thing. I get it that now it's like, really, Leah, I have to take on one more thing? Really? Are you out of your mind? One more thing I've got to do to be, to manage this? But here's the thing. Whatever else you've done and running or spinning your wheels, what's that thing? The rat
the rat, the mouse that's going around and around
and it's never gotten you somewhere. This will guaranteed get you somewhere. Okay, so I hear that it's try this at home, as they say. Okay, and here's the advantages of using the no blame game. Number one, we go from victimhood to powerfully mastering our circumstances. We go from lethargic and angry and resentful to energized and empowered. We start feeling less angry, less resentful, and less like a victim. And most importantly, best of all, Hashem will rush in to help us.
That's actually what we have someone who's commenting that it's just tiring. They're tired because they've tried so many things. And at some point, you are dealing with an adult that should be stepping up to the plate. So when it's all on you and it's all falling on you. As much as, yes, you know that you can only change yourself, but you start resenting that other person, and you're resentful of the fact that he's there and not putting in. There's got to be at least 50-50. So if there's not 50-50, I don't know, 70-30, but if you're really doing the crux of it, and it's just sort of, it's tiring, it's exhausting. And then how do you deal with, which is what they're asking, how do you deal with this resentment that builds up? The resentment of, I'm doing it all, it's all on me, he's doing nothing.
Excellent question. Very good. Thank you very much for the question. I appreciate it very much. You get 5 gold stars, whoever you are. Thank you very much. So the question is, how do you deal with the resentment, right? Am I right? How do you deal with this, the resentment from this? So that's a very complicated thing. And it's kind of, it's taking introspection on looking at cost benefit ratio. So in other words, the cost to blaming him is lack of closeness, okay? The benefit of taking more responsibility for this aspect of it is you will feel less of a victim and more of a powerful woman. As you work smarter, not harder, you will see a shift in your husband. Now, we're not trying to fix our husbands. Hear me clearly. We are not trying to fix our husbands. That's not what we're doing here. Miraculously, if you do this, your husband will change. Now, the resentment, if you can't get over the resentment by thinking it through and saying, I've been mad at him for 10 years for not helping do X, Y, Z, that's really not productive thinking. I really, maybe I should have sat down with him before and made a deal. And okay, if you do this, then I'll do that. That has to do with, getting stuff done in the house. But like if you're doing all of the effort in the relationship and he's doing nothing, and like she said, it's maybe if it's 70-30, the issue is it needs to be 100% from you. And whatever he does or doesn't do. That's God's choice and your husband's choice. But that's not really your business to make him do the amount of effort he does. All you can do is focus on yourself. So if you take, for an example, and actually I was going to answer this question that came up in the solving of Bela and Ellie's issue. Okay, so that's what I'll do actually. So if Bela is upset that, because it's the second part of it. Right. Let me just think how I should do it. Maybe I'll do the second part first. Okay. So Bela is upset because she, for the daily tasks. I'll go through it in order. Okay. So if Bela, instead of saying it's all my husband's fault about, let's say, the household chores, okay, it's all my husband's fault, and she's absolutely right. Okay. What can she do? If she were to play the no blame game, she would say, hey, wait a second, what action can I take? So here are some things she could do. She could, go to Hawaii and let him take care of the kids for a week. No, joking. No, okay. So if
by the way, don't joke. I went to Israel for last week. I was in Israel for 8 days, and the first day, my husband sends me an email, and he's like, it was great today. The kids were great. I got them to bed on time. Everything's great. He's like so energized, and I'm thinking, okay, good. Things are good, and I'm kind of a little bit hoping it's not so good so you can sort of see what I'm dealing with. But I'm going great. I'm going, oh my gosh, and he's so excited. He says, this is amazing. And then literally the second night, he goes, today wasn't such a good day. And then by the third night, I called him, and he's like, I can't talk. I need to go to bed. I'm so exhausted. And he was like falling apart. And as the days were going, he was literally like, when are you coming home? I cannot do this anymore. And it was so eye-opening for him. He literally said to me, it's unreal to see how you manage it. And even last night, yesterday I came home. So last night I went to take the kids and put them into the bath. And he goes, you're bathing the both of them together? And I said, you didn't? You did it separately? He's like, how could you do it together? They actually behave? Like, he was so shocked that here I was.
What your routine was.
Yeah, and how I achieved so much to him bathing one was so much. And here I'm baiting the both of them and getting them both out. And he was literally, it was an eye-opening experience for him that he was, so you're right. By the way, don't joke.
Don't
That's
joke.
a good action.
There you go.
Go to Hawaii.
There
for
you
me.
go.
I'm serious. That's
And
not-
you can tell him, yes, I watched it on a show and they told me, I'm sorry, I'm just doing what I was told. Okay, very good. All right, so here's a couple of things she can do. Number one, she can get takeout, like, a lot of times people, I don't know what people's status or whatever, but they'll get takeout food maybe once a week. Go to 2 times a week. If he's not helping so much, whatever it is, something like that. Here's another one, and I might get a lot of hate mail from this one, but how about washing the sheets less? Like if you're one of these meticulous, obsessive, perfectionist type of people, and you wash the sheets every week, do them every other week or whatever. Depends on how messy your kids are and whether there's bedwetting, whatever. No, we're not going there. But whatever. I'm just saying to lessen your load. These are perfectly acceptable strategies to ratchet down your anger and your resentment from your husband. What is more important than that? There is nothing more important. For the lady who asked about the resentment, there's nothing more important than you decreasing that resentment in your life. And if that means you have to do less, getting the kids all matching outfits, forget about it. Just whatever the Joneses think, whatever anybody else thinks, there are things in your life that you have perfectionist tendencies. I don't know. Other people must have. No, I definitely. Okay, I get it. All right. So you just have to learn to chill about certain things to ratchet that down. Those are actions you can take that make you less mad at him for not being a full participant in the household things. And, if you find other ways, please send them in, send me emails if you think of other strategies that would work on this. But there are many, many actions that, you have a really, really high bar, and it's not even on a radar of a guy. Not even on a radar. I had one of my students was telling me, and she said, that her husband comes home, the entire floor can be littered in toys. And she's just like at the wit's end. She's like lying like this, whatever. And instead of like helping her pick him up, he'll just step over him. They're not even a blip on his radar. Okay. So there's differences between men and women. I don't know, and different husbands and different wives or whatever. Lower your own expectations and perfectionist tendencies of yourself. And that is a really beautiful action that you can take. Go to Hawaii, get exercise, give yourself the time out. Like you always wanted to do, clay work, or you always wanted to sing in a thing, or you wanted to do a theater thing. Do some of these things that you feel quote unquote guilty about. Because if you did those, it would ease your resentment of your husband, and that is very, very crucial. Okay, so now we're going to get to the crux of this woman's resentment. Is women are constantly telling me, my husband just isn't into the relationship. Like, he loves me. I know he loves me. He goes to work every day to buy things. He tries. He gets me an anniversary present. He listens or whatever. But he's like not focused on the relationship like I am, and it really hurts me. I really am sad. It's like I'm all in. I'm always thinking, did I say that right? Well, whatever. He can say anything and do anything. He won't even notice. Okay, and they're very, very sad that their husband isn't a full partner in caring about every subtlety in the relationship. Welcome to reality. There is a difference between men and women. That's just God's opinion. I don't know, Women, there's different types, and there could be men who are more sensitive than women, or more into the relationship than women, and there could be women who could care less, and it's not. But for the most part, we know, our sources tell us, women, we were born an Ezer Kenegdo, a helpmate opposite him. And when God was leading Adam and Chava out of the Gan Eden, out of the Garden of Eden, he said to them, your suffering will be a yearning for your husband. That's just our lot in life. That's just the reality check in the world. The women's whole focus and her whole world, we're much more communication, we're much more into connecting, we're much more into people. Okay, we like things too, but whatever. We're much more into our marriage relationship than our husband is. That's just the way it is. So for all you ladies who are out there and you are sitting there feeling badly because your husband isn't into the wedding, into the marriage. That's the way men are. Does that mean he couldn't be or shouldn't be? You know, my estimation, and we had sources about this. The sources are telling us that that's the man is out there building, and then he comes back into the home and he needs to be nurtured. Okay, so there could be variances, but what the take-home message I'm making for you: any resentment or anger you have toward your husband for not being totally gloomy about the relationship, and oh, why did you say that, and what did you think, and yesterday when you said this, which is, we do all that all the time. It's a matter of course. That when you left and slammed the door, it hurt my feelings, by the way. Can you say sorry? You'll slam the door. He won't even you'll say, oh, sorry, I slammed the door, and be like, huh? What? Yeah. What? Oh, yeah, okay. So this is just the way of men and women. And I'm going over this to help you to remove from your heart the anger and the resentment and the expectation that your husband should be that way. Many women are expecting their husband to be like a girlfriend who gets them, and they were giggling when they were in high school or college or a seminary, or their teachers' lounge. They have these really close bonds, and and they say these little subtle things about the relationship, and they're waiting for their husband to good luck. It's sad. It's sad the more you stretch that expectation, the more resentment you're going to have of your husband. It's misplaced. So just setting the record straight. The bottom line is, rather than feeling the negligence, the victim to his negligence, make it easy for your husband to give you the attention you need. So what do I mean by that? If you were to say to your husband, he's on his computer, he's got 14 things, and you keep saying, excuse me, and he's like this, whatever, that's not making it easy for him to connect with you. Whereas if he says, oh, I'm so annoyed, I have to go pick up the parts for the machine at work in Kingdom Come, and it's a 2-hour drive, and oh, it's so annoying. I'll go with you. I'm like, really? It's a 2-hour drive. You don't want to sit in the car for I'll go with you. I got to go exercise. I really don't feel like taking my walk today. I'm in such a bad mood. I'll go with you. Make it easy for him to have the time and the space and the gratitude to you for being there for him. Make it easy for him to give you the attention you need. It takes creativity. It's not like off the cuff. You have to think of ways to do this. I have somebody, one of my students, she now walks her husband back and forth to shul in the morning. I mean, literally, they live, I think, 7 minutes from the shul. She walks him there and then walks back herself. Then she goes and picks him up. And then she does this 4 times a day. She gets 20 minutes with her husband she otherwise would not have. She feels closer to him. She feels bonded to him. Is it nice that he doesn't, take 20 minutes out of his day and he can't give that to his own love of his life, his own soulmate? Okay, I hear she should be mad at him and blame him, and it's all your fault. Or she can make it easy for him. A relationship is much more central to a wife's life, and she can make it easy for him. And that is the take-home message. Rather than blame, we're looking for actions that we can take that make our husband feel closer to us, and that stop the blame, stop the resentment, stop the feeling of victimhood. Okay, that's...
Right. My question would be only... just even from myself, but I'm assuming also from other women as well, that the issue comes when you need his help, or when you're doing things and it's like he's right there and he just doesn't see what needs to be done. And you're thinking, I mean, how do you not see that this one's crying and that one needs me and that kid's asking me for something and the dinner's on the thing, and he's sitting there, literally sitting, whatever, doing whatever he's doing, but he's completely checked out. Yeah, and it was interesting what somebody actually asked. She said, I have lots of young kids and I really need his help when he's home, and he'll just be clueless that I need him. How do you deal with that? How do you get him to help you in those times where you want to just shake him and say, how do you not see that you're an adult? How do you not see that you're needed right now?
Yeah, I get it. So this is a question of what, rather than blaming him, you're sitting there and he's sitting there, right? that's a really good candidate for not candidate, very good situation for you to blame him. Like, hello, are you there? Right. So I get it. Okay. But now let's use the tool. So the tool is, what actions can I take to improve things?
Okay, so could you ask him maybe, or is that, or
You can ask
I mean,
him.
meaning is the idea before when you were saying to just let some things go, or is
The
it
lady,
possible
whoever
to
asked
ask
this
him?
question, can you type in what the example of what you meant, if you can?
Right.
If you can't,
Yeah.
all right, okay. But anyway,
No, but if you can, maybe we'll get a response here.
but so say that. What was the question?
That in this type of situation, so basically she's saying that the kids are young, so if she needs to put them to bed and do homework with certain kids, and the dinner is on the stovetop and needs to be turned off, and just lots of little
Okay,
things
so
that have to happen in the house at
Yeah.
night. It's very hectic.
It's very hectic.
And
We
he's
all-
home. It's one thing
Right.
if he wasn't home and this is what the whole concept is, and I find it the same for me, so I totally relate to this, that if I know he's not there, I figure it all out. I know that sounds crazy, but I figure it out. But when he's there and you see that he's right there and he's doing nothing,
Right.
that's a killer.
That's a killer. Okay. So let's think about what can she do to improve things. So number one, obviously she could ask him, "Oh, could you give me a hand?" Number two, an action she could take: let me stop expecting so much of him. He works full time. I don't, or if she both work full time, then maybe they have, maybe the action she needs to take in that moment is, I need to sit down with him and have a conversation at some point, because this is not working for me. It feels very slavish or whatever, Third is, she could lower her expectations and say, you know what? This is what God gave me. I'm going to just work through this. I can get it done. If he wasn't here, I'm going to from now on, I'm going to pretend he's not there. I'm going to, he's going to be, that's the action I can take. That takes away all the resentment. And if she makes that shift internally, now this is one of those woo-woo things, but if she makes that shift internally, I'm just going to pretend he's not here, whatever. It's funny. He'll be sitting there looking, he'll look up and say, "Oh, you want a hand?" He may not, but I'm just saying that's the best odds of getting him to do that. As we've talked about many times about equality, equality in the workplace, that's the right measure of success. At home, the measure is shalom, is peace. So doing equal tasks and equal work and whatever, ask your rabbi, ask somebody else. But I'm telling you right now that if you look to make it equal and he should do his fair share and so forth, it's a recipe for disaster. And there just a study came, I think it was out of England. I'm really bad on this. But I read the study that was talking about how the more equal the share of labor in the marriage, the higher, I think it had a double chance of divorce. I don't know. Somebody who's smart, look this up and send me the link again, because I read it. I should have pasted it all over. But the point is, I'm not saying a woman should do more work. We don't know why that is. It could be because the type of people who are doing equal, and wait a minute, you didn't, I set all the forks, you need to set all the knives, and it's just they're more adversarial. I don't know exactly how to read that data, but I just know that when you're trying to split hairs and make everything equal, it's a recipe for disaster. So instead, if she were to shift from, I'm just feeling overwhelmed, there is a way she could talk to him and say, maybe not at the moment. Maybe when she goes on that walk with him or on that car ride with him, and she says, I'm feeling very overwhelmed at night. All the kids come home. I'm trying to make lunches. I'm trying to do whatever. And I'll say, you know what? Forget lunches. You asked me to buy the hot foods for the kids. I'm just going to do it so that you're less stressed out. Like, woo, solved half her problem in making lunches. Whatever. There's still the diapers and the baths and the whatever. But the point is, there is always, and we're going to end with this, there is always an action, which includes a thought process. There is always an action or a thought process that you can do to make the situation better. There's always something. You've got to be creative. You can talk to your friends about it. As long as you don't speak lashon hara and gossip about your husband, you can speak with friends about it, get creative ideas, speak with an auntie who has a great marriage, speak to a rebbitzin, a rabbi, somebody, a clergyman who you can discuss this, brainstorming ideas about how to solve these problems. But sitting there like it's all his fault and blaming him is a recipe for disaster. So the take-home message today, this is Leah's secret of the day, is it feels great at the moment to blame our husband, especially if we're right about the situation. But in the long run, it costs us closeness. It's not constructive. It's not productive. It only causes damage to blame. The homework of the week for the week is one time this week when you start to blame your husband for something, ask yourself, how can I improve things? Thank you very much.
Wait,
Yeah,
so basically, as just to clarify that, so as it's before, when you're about to blame, you're going to stop yourself, basically, or is that when you're blaming him in your head, or when you're about to verbally blame? Meaning,
either one. It's you can do
either
it's
one.
better if you can. First, you might blame him either like, oh, great, thanks a lot, or whatever. That's blaming him.
Okay.
Or you might in your head say, I can't believe he's doing this to me again. He's putting me in a corner, or he's whatever. You're blaming him. So it could be that you're doing it in your head.
So you're saying before you blame, take an action.
Right.
That's
Just say to
basically
yourself,
before you blame,
what
take an action.
action can I take? What can I be doing right now? What can
Right.
and in that it could be I think something. I'm going to let him off the hook, like he had a hard day, okay, I can deal with it. This is God giving it to me. I can deal with this. Or it's saying, you know what? I've got to make a mental note to talk to my husband about this and to figure out what to say to him and how to say it. We're going to go through communication in a couple of I don't know, about 5 or 6, whatever. I don't know when it is. We're going to do a whole section on communication, so we'll learn better ways to do it. It's called communication for results. Okay, that's what we want. It's not just like blah 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 blah. It's for results. So we'll get there. But for this particular thing, the action could be thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna have a conversation with him. After tonight, after the kids are in bed, or whatever, I'm gonna sit down with my journal. I'm gonna sit down with my notes on my phone or whatever. Or if you like one of these people who likes these Mont Blanc pens and the whatever and make it beautiful. I don't care. But you're sitting there. I'm gonna journal tonight about how to approach my husband about this issue. I'm going to brainstorm. I'm going to create. I'm going to think of different things I can do. I'm going to take out food more often. I'm going to, I'm going to solve this so I'm not angry and resentful to my husband, because that's not where I want to go. That's not who I want to be in my life, and that's not where I want to go. Okay.
We have one last question. Is just somebody asked, what if her husband never changes? Meaning, no matter what she does, and obviously, in everything that you're saying that God will guarantee you success and blessing, and the goal for everyone in the back of their mind is my husband eventually will change, so they'll keep doing it. So what about someone who says, what happens if I never see the change? Meaning if I just never see a difference.
So you are a genius. Beautiful, beautiful question. Thank you very much for questions. And send emails. Those of you who are on the fence about asking questions, send an email. Do we have a way to do it anonymously? Yeah, I think if they put in their, when it says put in your email address, say 123@324 or whatever, whatever. And I think, and with a fake name, and then you can send an anonymous question. So for those of you who don't want us to get your email, that's completely fine. Do that. But thank you for sending them in. Send in more, and we will answer them next week. Okay, so the question was about what if your husband never changes? This is a toughie. It's a very toughie. So there are some things that you will do and you'll be shocked at the change. Some things you'll just bang your head against the wall, and he will never change. So there's no correlation to your actions and where he changes and how he changes. It helps to daven, to pray, and to say, Hashem, I'm doing all the hishtadlus I possibly can. You know that I'm not angry with him anymore, that I make all the lunches and that I do all the carpools. I carried a resentment about that for a long time. I've given that up. I'm doing all the carpools without complaining. Please note that in the record, okay? Right. But please help me when it is so overwhelming. just have him notice and look up from his phone or look up from his computer or whatever he's doing. Have him notice and do one thing. It would help me, it just would make me feel so much better. Or help me to figure out a way to communicate this to my husband that will affect change, that will make a difference. Help me do this. Or please, Hashem, please help me to not be upset about this. Life is too short. I've got one life. I don't want to spend my life being mad at my husband and being resentful at my husband. I want a life that I just feel joyous and grateful for what I do have, rather than looking the cup half empty. So these are the kinds of things. Your husband may never change, and that's just the cards you were dealt, not by your husband, but by God himself.
So you're saying since you can't do anything, if you just keep working on yourself and then praying that you find some sort of peace in the situation, then that will make you...
Yeah, and sometimes you have to work at something for 6 months, a year, you see zero. And then suddenly it's just not an issue anymore, So, this isn't a exact correlation. You open the fridge and the light comes on. It's, you open the fridge, you keep hoping for the, delicious, those trouts. Have you ever tried those smoked trouts? Why don't they sell those in every corner? They're so delicious. Okay, but you have to go to the store 20 times and then out of the one time, or maybe some of you live in the other parts of the world, that you can get this smoked trout, whatever. And it's not even that expensive, but it's so delicious. But anyway, how do I get on smoked trout?
Yeah.
Whatever. But anyway, the thing is that it's not like every time you open the fridge, the light's going to come on. You're going to work. You're going to keep going to the store, looking for the smoked trout. And then one day, it's there. And then you buy every one. And then usually only have 3 or 4 packages because everyone else eats the smoked trout. Thank you very much.
We have somebody who actually suggested that you journal the stuff he does do. Right.
Ooh, that's great.
That is, if you keep a nightly, at least one thing you think from that day that he did do, or something positive, or even if he didn't do anything positive, just the fact that he went to work today, or that type of thing. So
she's saying that you write down a journal, appreciation notebook, basically
about him, so that you start seeing maybe that the cup half he's really right, meaning that he really might be doing things that you didn't notice over the whole course of all the bad things he did. You're not noticing these other things because you're so upset.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that has a fantastic track record of success. The appreciation notebook worked better than antidepressants and therapy for helping cure depression. Pretty powerful.
Wow.
Actually, it was if you did therapy, meds, and journal, I think was the highest rated of getting better. And if anybody's suffering from depression, at least you can start with an appreciation notebook. Right. It's cheaper than therapy or medications or whatever. It's worth a go. So, okay, very good. Would you have a question?
Well, I wanted to say, I wanted to share something, if I may.
You catch
yes.
No, she's not catching on mic. You have to
yes. Come to my...
Yeah, go stand behind me.
Yes.
Go stand behind
come right here. Come next to me.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to share something that helped for me. So I was in a situation where I had a lot of young kids years ago. My husband didn't help, not because he didn't want to help, but because he was all over the place, and he's a very busy person. And I was left with all the children, getting them ready, doing the cart pulls. It was very difficult for me, and I did have resentment. Not all the time, but at times it popped up. Yeah, it would flare up. I would have bad flare-ups of blame inside. And I didn't want to make his life any harder, so I kept it more in. So, from time to time I thought, if only he could help me. And I couldn't rely on anybody else, because even a helper couldn't come and help me at 7 a.m. So it sounds very spiritual, and I don't know if people are on this level, but maybe it's something that we can strive for. I realized, okay, so my husband's not helping me, but like, God was really helping me. The car always worked. I was healthy. I had healthy pregnancies. I felt like, he was holding my hand the whole time. I didn't have to be on bed rest. I counted my blessings of all the help that I really got without my husband being there. And even it brightens up when I look into the past. Even now, I don't hold any kind of resentment against my husband. And
Yeah, that's similar to the appreciation thing, because her thing is, rather than just seeing the appreciation of her husband, she's seeing all the things that God
It's appreciation
of God.
yeah.
Exactly. All the
Right.
things that he did for her.
Right. God stepped
make-
in
yeah.
because he knew my husband could not be
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
I noticed that and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Just a little technical thing to bring up to our Facebook people and our teleconference people. We love you guys. Thanks for being on. We've changed our format. We no longer have a studio audience, as you may have realized. That was our administrator of the show who just shared that lovely piece of information. So it's basically Leah now talking to you guys directly, to the teleconference people, to Facebook. You are our audience. So please share, comment, send
the
us your
emails
questions.
coming.
Keep the emails
it's the
coming,
juice. It's juice.
because this show is going to be completely about you. There's going to be a lot more content, because as much as we're going to miss our studio audience, we just, as sad as that is, it just means that less screaming and yelling and more of Leah, which I think you guys are going to love. So we look forward to this new show and this new endeavor and this new journey, and you guys are our focus. So the teleconference and Facebook Live, share. We love to have you on, and we love your comments. So
Very good. Excellent. Okay, this is Leah Richeimer for the Ladies Talk Show. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you next week.
thank you. Bye, guys.
This session is